So let's go down. What happens if there's stuff on the outside of the absolute value bars? What happens if there's stuff, right? Inverse property is what happens. You have to get it by itself. So if there's a constant, then get rid of it. Then do the thing with the positive and the negative. If there's a constant, get rid of it. 10 or negative 10, right? So there was a constant in the way of the absolute value equation being isolated. There was something in the way, right? This was in the way. So I used the inverse property to get rid of it first. All right, so again, what if there's something in the way? We're going to use inverse property to get rid of it. Then we have the absolute value of 3. So y is either 3 or y is negative 3. See how I used inverse property to get rid of the constant? If there's a constant in the way, get rid of it. Right? Well, what if there's a coefficient in the way? If there's a coefficient in the way, inverse property again. Right? This is 6 times the absolute value of x. So the opposite is division. Right? So now we have the absolute value of x is equal to 4. So x is either 4 or x is negative 4. Right? So we have to isolate first. The first 6 examples, 7, 8 examples, however many examples, they didn't have to do the isolation thing because they were already isolated. But if it's not isolated, you have to isolate it, right? So this one has a negative 2 in the way, so we're going to divide by negative 2. Then we're going to have z plus 3, this is why I put my little line there, is equal to 7. Z plus 3 equals 7. Z plus 3 equals negative 7. Z equals 4, or got ahead of myself. Z equals negative 10. Right? So what if there's multiple things in the way? It just gets more and more complicated, right? You just keep using inverse property. In this case, this is the absolute value of 2w minus 4 divided by 6. The opposite of divided by 6 is multiplied by 6. So on this one, you would multiply both sides by 6 first. Then you would do the thing, right? Set it equal to the positive and negative, right? On this one, it has, I would, again, start with the constant. Get rid of the constant, which is going to give you negative 80. Then divide by the negative 10, right? Which is 8. And then that means you got rid of this and this. What's left? Now you can set the absolute value equal to the positive and the negative. Right? So just step by step, just like you would a regular equation. Get rid of the constant. Get rid of the coefficient. Slowly but surely just get rid of stuff until it's isolated. This one I would add 6, divide by 7. This one I would add 24. And then because to get rid of a fraction, you flip and multiply. Right? So I would multiply this side by 2/3 and this side by 2/3. You see what I'm saying? Some of these are special cases. Special cases, if it's an absolute value of something, you cannot end up with a negative answer. That's not possible. The whole point of an absolute value is you're finding the distance from 0. Your answer has to be positive. There is nothing on earth this x could be to give you negative 6. Period. right? Divide, I don't even know why this one's weird, but it's weird. Let's see. Divide -7. Oh, again, there's nothing that can be happening in here to end up with a negative. So if you divide this by -3 and divide this by -3, you're left with the absolute value of 2x plus 1 equals -7. That's not possible. You cannot end up with a negative. It cannot be your answer, because the absolute value is always going to end up being positive. Always. Right? So that should do you. We may break this into 2 parts.